So this is the project we are going to be building. I'll share the GitHub link in the chat. Let me see. Right. What you're going to do is the first thing you just do here is you're going to have to download this data set. Is the data that is here that we'll be making use of. So all this data is what we are going to be using. If you want to download it, I think you might have to click on it or download the whole folder. All this we are just downloading. Okay, we are just downloading this data set. If we are just downloading the data sets, that is if they allow us to download just the data sets. Or I believe I should have it inside. Okay, yeah, you can download just the data sets. And so just head over to the project, then inside here, right, you see all the data sets. Okay. Yeah, I'm just showing you where to download your data set from. So that's the first one you're using. So inside transform, you see data, then all this data here is what you'll be needing. So you have to click on it, then select download from here. Just save it to your system. Okay, one moment. So click on, see these three buttons here. You should see download. Yeah, for each of them. I don't really know. It's on the call, but I'm not hearing any response. You can just do it for each of them. I'm supposed to have this data set in my drive, but I don't even know where it is. The sample data set is just there, right? I want us to build a proper project. That's why this is here. The sample data set is just it's just like for you to make use of and test your project. So I've sent a drive link. You can just use that. If that is more convenient, you can use that one. If this method, okay. Are you done? Okay. So what we want to do is we want to actually start like building a proper project. We call it end to end, but it's just for this one is like a very simple project, right? So you would have, yeah, I'm recording. So the project is, I'm going to walk you through a common pipeline, which I think I've done before. You have something like this. So you would have this, right, as a regular. This is a very common, let's say, template or blueprint of how they build data pipelines with DBT inside BigQuery or inside any database. Now, your data that it was downloaded, that is what is called the raw data. It is a raw file that you have to. Mr. Ezekiel, please let me know if you're around. Mm, So what you just inserted now, what you just downloaded, you refer to it as a raw data, right? It's a raw data. Insert it into BigQuery. Now your raw data is usually a very large um is usually where you store all the data that you're getting from different sources. You don't do anything to that raw data. You don't you don't clean it, you don't transform it. Like you transform it, but it's kind of there. You duplicate it, then do your transformations and everything in it. If I were to show you that BigQuery project that we did, if you checked out that BigQuery project that we did, you would see that you have your project. So BigQuery, let me go to that one. JFrog project. So you would have your original data, right? Your data sets, which is the one that you insert into BigQuery. The idea is that every data that's coming in lands inside that place, inside that data set, and you don't use it. You use it to transform, but you don't transform that particular data directly. Why don't you do that? So that when you want to do some auditing or you want to check what is wrong in the data that the stakeholders are receiving, right? You can always go down to the original. So that raw data is always referred to as the original data, right? It has not been touched, it has not been adjusted or anything, nothing has been done to it. So if we check that your DBT project that we launched the last time, which is it, I think is this. So if you check that, you would see this here. So this is basically your raw data sets, right? Everything that is raw, every untouched data simply lands inside any specified data set. So all these are just diagrams, right? This is how they actually are. They're still just tables. So they're inside here. From here is where you now perform your transformation using DBT. So all the DBT models that were inside that project that we launched the other day, that is where your whole transformation starts. So DBT picks data from here. So example, it picks data from these orders and then it runs transformation and then every other data set that you see here is the actual transformed data. You see this and you see this other one. So these are the actual transformed data. Now, why is it like this? We usually transform data in stages or layers. We don't just transform everything at once because it's very helpful to do for separation of concern. If you transform everything at once inside one single model, you mix a lot of business logic inside. So the purpose of these layers is this now This layer that you're seeing here, this is your basic data warehouse design, right? This is a basic way they design data warehouses. If you ever hear anything about designing a data warehouse, they are usually speaking of something like this, right? They also refer to as the medallion architecture. If you've ever heard of the medallion architecture, where you hear of bronze, silver, and gold. But for DBT, we prefer to use staging layer, intermediate, and matte layer. It's the same concept under the hood, right? I just personally prefer this idea. So if you now say you have okay, so you have yeah, okay. So let me just yeah, staging math and intermediate is literally the same thing, right? It's literally the same thing but different wordings. So you would see something like this. Let me use this one. Yeah, that transform. That is it, right? And it's particularly used in designing a data warehouse architecture, right? That is the very purpose for separation of concern. Each layer does a single thing, right? But that single thing can be very complex. So here you can see your data sources. Your data sources is technically the raw part, right? That is this guy. So this is literally your data sources. You refer to it as data sources because all because different sources are going to be landing inside there. So you have you have multiple sources coming from different places landing inside that raw layer, right? So that is technically your data sources landing raw into your raw data sets. So this is it. So the images or the illustrations, it makes it if you're just seeing the illustration and you don't really get okay what's going on under the hood, but when you now see your actual tables, right, you just realize at the end of the day it's still just tables. It's literal tables that you can even export to Google Sheets and use. They're just naming it in a particular order. So you have your raw, and then first you have your staging layer, which referred to the bronze in the medallion architecture. Now, the purpose of the staging layer is where you perform. So this is usually where you start to perform. You start to do things like data cleaning. Right, this is where you clean your data. This is where you rename anything that you see cleaning, renaming. Just make it in a useful give it a useful presentation, right? So that other guys can use. So cleaning, um, renaming of columns, right? Renaming of columns, and a bunch of other things. The idea of staging layer is you just want to make it useful enough. You're not doing anything in particular. You just want to make it useful for these other layers, right? Anything that you see, any wrong naming convention that you see, you change your data types. So change your, you give it proper data types, right? So if it's supposed to be an integer and it's a string, convert it to an integer so that the other guys can make use of it. So this is the ultimate purpose of staging layer, not to make it so sound so complicated, right? It's just to prepare your data set for the remaining layers. So do you understand that one? Okay, so staging layer, bronze layer, the same thing. Staging layer and the bronze layer is the same concept, right? Let me see this one. minimal transformation. Oh, this one is too much information. So let's go and continue. The next stage is our intermediate, right? The next stage is the intermediate layer right here. Now, this layer is a bit more complicated than the other two. It's a bit more complex than the other two. This is where you start to do more complex transformation, right? Here you've done basic cleaning. So inside here, let me say for example, you get you get a data set. Your data set was kind of messy. So you get an orders data set from business and it's kind of messy. So you start to do your cleaning and naming inside it. Now your intermediate layer is where things start to get a bit complicated. So imagine you get your orders. So this first data set that you got for your business or for the company, you get this from, let me say you get this from um you get this from a store. You get this from a store in Lagos, right? So you get this from a store in Lagos, this particular orders. And then you have another orders table here. Now, this second orders table, you have another orders table. This one is from a store in Abuja, right? And then you have another table again. You just have multiple tables, but all of them are still orders, right? But this is from a store in Ibadan. So all of these are still orders, but they are going to be separate tables because they are coming from separate locations, coming from separate sources, not one single source. Now, the idea of intermediate layer is all these stores, all these different sources that speaks to one particular business, let's say business category, right? Let me just say business category or business function, right? So they all speak to others. Now you're going to join all these others inside here and make it a single table, right? So everything is going to be a single table inside this intermediate layer. There's not going to be Abuja store, Lagos store, or Ibadan store. It's just going to be it's just going to be others. That is it, right? Interm- yes, they speak to the same thing. So you come the location. So that is where that location, that additional location column is where you start to do filtering, right? At your on your BI tool. So that is when they now have the ability to now filter orders by a particular location, but it's all coming from one single table, right? So that is the purpose of intermediate layer. Now, it's kind of these are very simple. These are very simple um definitions, right? It gets more complex than this, but this is the base. This is the introductory level that you would see at a beginner level. So now we have this intermediate orders. That is the purpose of this. The next is our math layer. Now the math layer is your presentation layer. Okay. Okay. So another thing you can use intermediate table to do is just so you've done your basic cleaning and transformation here. right? You do that here. This is particularly just for cleaning and transformation. Now you want to create a certain business logic. You want to create a certain business logic, but you don't want that to be exposed to the end users. It's the end users, this is the layer they are going to touch. This is the layer they are going to touch. Maybe in some businesses, maybe they expose them to this one, but it's always good that the end users are exposed to only a single, yeah, only one particular is only read particular. So they only have these end users here, they only have access to read this guy over here. It is you that have control over all of them. But now inside this intermediate layer, maybe you want to do some particular let me just show you a quick example. You want to do some particular business. So this is an example I was working on. So you want to do some particular business logic, right? Now, if you look at this is an intermediate layer. This is intermediate layer. This intermediate metric here now says intermediate customer lifetime metrics. My purpose is that I'm calculating all my metrics within here, right? Maybe I don't want to expose this particular one to the end user. Maybe I want to use it somewhere else. Right? I can just label it as intermediate. Now I can still literally expose this as a math if I choose that. But for now, I don't want to expose it as a math. I just want it to be within intermediates, right? Let me use it in let me use it downstream in other models, right? Instead of exposing it at to the final guys to make use of. So there are just a lot of number of reasons why you might want a particular model to be an intermediate model. But the most common one or the most fundamental one is performing complex joins, right? Joining from multiple sources inside there. So you get? Okay. So I hope I was able to explain that perfectly, right? So now that we are done with our intermediate layer, the last is the math, right? Like I said, the math is the very one that you expose to the end users for them to make use of. So the math is where you start to write out your final business logic that you want them to use, or your final business metrics and business KPIs, or even the entire table. So in this scenario now, in this case, you can see, okay, I'm not hearing your voice, your volume just went down. Yes, no problem. Okay, yeah, yes. BigQuery is a data warehouse. It's basically a database. Mm. It's basically if you've heard of Postgres or MySQL, yeah, it's literally just a database. Yes. So that is why you see, okay. So that is why you see tables inside BigQuery, right? That's why its tables are there. Just like you see in Excel or in Google Sheets. They are all tables. SQL is structured table, right? Structured query language. They are all structured tables. That is it. Rows and columns. That is all they are. Right? It's just that they meet different needs. Right? Your regular SQL, your regular Excel sheets meets a different need than BigQuery, and BigQuery meets a different need than Postgres or MySQL. Okay. So, like I said, the math layer, then the end users now consume. Okay, so I was giving you an illustration. So here's an example now. If you see, this is my, like I said, I could have made this a math layer, because if you look at this model here, I have lifetime value, average order value, and last order dates, right? These are metrics that maybe the end users want to track, and I can just package this and put this in a, just open up a math, right? Open up a math inside here and put it there, right? And that will literally be my math layer. By the time I convert everything from BigQuery to from DBT to BigQuery, you see everything organized. You see everything organized inside different data sets. So like now you can see, so just as you can see these raw data sets here, you would now see you would now see staging, you would see staging, you would see intermediate, and you would see months, right? The first project that we did, we didn't organize it, we just dropped everything inside the same data set. So that's why it's all mixed up like this. So let me see another, let me see there's a proper one. Okay, so you can see here I have my raw, I have my staging, intermediate, and maths, right? They are separate data sets that speak to only a particular thing. And then if you go into maths, whoever now wants to make use of this guy, I'll give the person access to this particular data set. You can give them access to it, or maybe they even want you to query out the table for them and give return the data for them. So in all those cases that you hear, okay, they need data, give us data. You can now go inside here and query out your data. So where is it? Table Explorer, copy to query. Once you get your results, you can just you can send it to local studio, Google Sheets, or you can even send it to, if you're connected to Power BI, then you can send it there also, so that the end users can now make use and do their analysis, deep analysis, and what's inside there. Now, even you as the analytics engineer, you can still perform analysis using SQL inside BigQuery here, right? So if you write your query here, you obviously get your results inside here. So that is another part of the analysis that can be done using BigQuery. So let's go back to our slide. So this is the full, like, the most basic, um let's say the most basic stack or most basic project, yeah, illustration that you can do for a project A to Z, right? If you do this, you understand the complete, you get the complete idea of the life cycle of when they say do an end-to-end project, all those long stories, right? It's literally just from your source, you ingest data from your source into your raw layer. But for now, we are not doing ingestion, right? Because that takes another setup, right? You ingest data from your source to your raw layer. From your raw layer, you perform transformations. No, no, you can actually do ingestion. Nowadays we have, yeah, it depends. Like I said, all this thing, it depends on the setting of the company. So nowadays we have very simple tools to use and do ingestion. If it was back then when tools like this Eba is a very is a tool that you use for ingestion, right? It's a very simple tool. It's just like using any other, like using Canva self and doing ingestion, right? So because of tools like this, it makes it easy for other parts of other staffs of the business to do ingestion, right? Now, if it was unlike before when you have to start using Python or you building entire scripts for ingestion, and as I say is data engineers are responsible for those ones because they are at that point they are building custom ingestion scripts, right? Where a lot of things matter. The sync mode matters, the how they are incrementing matters, right? How they are loading matters, all those little details. But because of tools like this, right? Because of tools like this, we can easily perform ingestion for a company. The type of company that needs the type of company that needs ingestion like this will differ, right? So take for example, if you're working in money points, I believe those guys are using data engineers for their ingestion because they'll be getting from very low level systems. But if you're going to be working in one supermarket, let me not say supermarket, but if you're going to be working in one much more business focused organization, right? Like like a huge logistics company or a huge retail company that they are not dealing with tech like that. They can just say, okay, use this business tool. They pay for it. They pay for subscription. Use it and ingest their data into a warehouse, right? I've used it before. It gives a free trial, so that's why I stopped using it. Else, you can just easily pick up those things and use it. So that's why I leave ingestion out of the whole thing. If you're doing ingestion, you now have to start writing Python and those little things. If you're going to use any tool like this, you get a free trial to make use of the tool for like 1 month. Okay, so this is this is our basic project idea. Before we continue, Mr. Ezekiel, let me know if you're there. Still not there. Let me try. I want to believe maybe he's probably at a function doing something, maybe at church or somewhere. Okay, so let's get into the hands-on of things. File, new window, open up. So as usual, the first thing we are going to do is to set up our environments. That's always the first thing to do. You've already gotten your data, so we want to set up our BigQuery and DBT environment. So I just realized something today that I could not continue using my billing on BigQuery. So it's limited what I'm able to do. My billing account. So I have a billing account on BigQuery, but they've charged it like I think zero point something dollars, and I've not yet paid it. So once if you don't pay, they'll just close that billing account. So whenever you solve that one, huh? Someone is talking. I feel like it's Ezekiel. Okay, we'll try and so- okay, see what we can do. Mm, okay. So, Ms. Bisola, you were asking a question. Yeah, it's $0 for BigQuery, but I ended up using another service away from BigQuery. Right? So you see the other service there, I ended up using cloud storage, and I didn't know how they charge that one. So I've learnt my lesson. I'll stay away from this one. Mm. I just saw like let me even save the things. Yeah, I just saw like 0.0. Okay. And just ask even okay. Mm. Mm. Okay. You see, the good thing is you're not specifically looking for the title. You're looking for the role, right? Anytime you see a job role, you can literally see a data analyst role and you would see DBT and BigQuery. I tell you that truth. You would see a data analyst role and you will see BigQuery inside it. Ability to use BigQuery. It does. Yeah, are you hearing me? Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. It was my network. Okay, so let me. Okay, don't worry. I'll go through what I said again. So, as I was saying, you can literally. The thing is, what you're learning is not the job title, right? You're not learning analysis engineering as a job title. What you're learning is the skills, the entire skills that it carries along. You're learning data warehousing. I believe you've seen such, right? Even across data analyst roles and data engineer roles. You're learning data transformation concepts, right? With DBT and SQL. You're learning data warehousing with BigQuery, right? You're learning how to model data. You're learning how to use the cloud, how to use a data warehouse because it's literally just the cloud. You would see a data analyst role and you would see ability knowing how to model or transform data. You apply. Maybe the what they call the HR people don't know anything about analysis engineer. But you can tailor your resume because you have the skills, right? Tailor your resume to that particular, and data warehousing skills command more than the basic Excel. Now, even if it says Excel, I believe you already have experience with it. That is, at this point, is a given. Everybody knows Excel. So maybe you have a little thing that's now you have um, data warehousing knowledge. You have a good knowledge of how to design data warehouse. You have a good knowledge of how to transform data using DBT. And you know that DBT is a standard. DBT is a standard that keeps on rising, right? It's not like a regular SQL. So your regular SQL nowadays can be used for analysis, ad hoc analysis. That is going to be SQL nowadays. But when you go to DBT, you're using it to build something. You're not just performing ad hoc analysis, you're building out something within your data warehouse. So DBT exposes you to entire new concepts, right? Secondly, if you go deeper in analysis engineering, you start to learn other things like orchestration. You can't hear me. Okay, I don't know what's up with. Yeah, I just left. I just randomly left the message. Okay, can you hear me clearly now? Can you hear me clearly now? Can you guys hear me now? Okay. So what were you guys getting? What last were you able to get? What was the last? Hmm, you have another perfect. And funny enough, yes, that's what I'm trying to get at. And funny enough, you would see more of that description under data engineering rules because people are not fully aware of analysis engineering rules, right? You'd see things like ability to use data warehouses and pull data from multiple sources. Bam, you've already know it. Ability to transform data using DBT SQL, familiarity with DBT, nailed it. You might see things like familiarity with airflow or orchestration. That is among one of the things that you learn as an analysis engineer. Right? But we are not going through that here because that's extra thing on its own. You nailed that one, right? So the skills stack up, but not the job title. The job title might, it might spread out as time goes on, but now it's still kind of upskill. As long as you tailor your resume to that particular. If they say like now, I've seen one that says senior data analyst, ability to use a data warehouse, ability to use DBT and the likes is literally the same thing. But they mentioned senior data analyst. Maybe they didn't want to put it as a data engineer and they believed a simple data analyst may not be able to know all these things. So you apply for that one, tailor your resume and say senior data analyst. It's as simple as that. You will see some data engineers, but be careful of data engineering roles. Their complexity kind of differs. You will see some that says being able to use Kubernetes, build clusters, and all those little things. Avoid those ones. That is not where you're going to. But if you see the ones that say ability to use data warehouse, transform data, pull from multiple sources, please go ahead and apply. Right? Tailor your tailor your and then build your your can you okay, I can hear two of you. I can hear two of you. Okay, can you hear me? Let me let me end the meeting. Uh, okay, I want to end the call, then see what I can do about it and create a new link, a new meeting link. Okay. Okay. Please let me hope I've solved that issue of you guys hearing me. So can you guys hear me now? Okay. Mr. Ezekiel, are we there? Okay. So as I was saying, or as I was just going on and on, for the data engineering parts, there are kind of extremes, right? There are like two extremes. There are the entry level parts that you see that is very easy. Data engineering is still it still has like this higher barrier to entry, right? But you would see some okay, but you would see some that says um data warehousing and the likes. It's anything that you see that sounds familiar, right? You can pick up on that. But if you start seeing things like um the entire cloud architecture, like using GCP or being able to spin up separate clusters, like using Kubernetes or PySpark. You start hearing all those things, PySpark, Kubernetes, just avoid all those ones, right? Those ones are lower level engineering, so lower level real-time engineering likes. So there's just you would see all these things, right? So you see it's very common. And also you can still expand your beyond DBT and BigQuery, you can still expand a little bit. So there's also Postgres. Postgres is a very common database. You can try to pick that up. And it's literally you're applying the same principles in BigQuery to Postgres. So apply the same principles. Yeah. To Postgres, not Postgres. Sorry. Yeah. So that is this post. Yeah, is a very common database too. Like a lot of companies use, a lot of small companies they like use, right? So different a lot of use cases, right? The entire idea, regardless whether the tool, the entire idea is you're being able to convert data from how it is, right? The messy state it is, creates a system. So the difference between different you see data analysts, you also say they know how to transform, clean and do all those ones. The difference between yours and theirs is that yours is a system that you just build like a software, right? So you're building these systems like you would build a software and you deploy it to the cloud. Now theirs probably stays inside Power BI or they do it with Excel, something they have to repeat multiple times over and over and under a small amount of data. Yours, you're running it across couple of hundreds of gigs, right? That's why yours is a system and theirs is just a function, right? So theirs is a process they repeat over and over. Yours is a system that you're building that takes data, converts it, transforms it, and converts it into something suitable for the end users to use. If also with that, you also have to learn how to build like building a pipeline. Yeah, so you would hear ETL, extract transform load, or extract load transform, very common terminology that you come across. So just keep all these little things in mind. It's also part of it. Ability to extract, load, and transform. Literally, what we are doing is extracting, load, and transform. As big as it sounds, it's a very simple process. Okay. So anything that pops up in my head later on, I'll cover it. But for now, that is the basic that's the basic approach to the basic approach to finding jobs or finding opportunities. It's not just jobs, but opportunities in general. Okay, so I guess I hope you guys are satisfied with that long explanation. Okay. So, Mr. Ezekiel, this is where we were before while you were away. I was giving the actual explanation, direct explanation to how the entire pipeline. Yes, I am. So how the entire system works. Right? So this, like I was saying, this is your source, right? This is your source data over here. Sorry, I'm coming. What's going on? So this is your general architecture to a data pipeline, right? This is general way data flows when you're building an entire analysis system. So you have your sources could come from multiple places, right? And then from your sources, it goes into a single storage spot, right? Which is your data warehouse in this case. So I'm using their icons as illustration here. So it goes into your storage. And the last projects that we did, the basic, that simple one that we just set up our DBT project is the same thing that we did over there. So if you check that project, you would see this. So you should see your data sets. Let me go to that one. Data project. You should see your data set and you should see these data sets. So these are all data sets, right? Data sets are collections of tables. And you have row, transform row here. This is used to capture your raw data sets. Your raw data sets are basically the original data that comes from multiple sources, right? Not just one, not just two, but a number of them. And then you put that data into a single data set, which is referred to as your raw layer, right? Your landing layer, everything lands inside here. The idea of this raw layer is you keep it inside your data warehouse so that anytime you want to audit your models or your transformation, you can always come back to the original. Now, this remains as the original. You don't touch it, you don't do any transformation inside it, you just leave it inside your data warehouse. Now, from this raw layer, you now perform your transformation. So this is the raw layer here, but the next data set is where your transformation actually starts, right? And this is the stages of transformation. These are the layers of transformation. You have your staging layer, your intermediate layer, and your math layer. This is also referred to as a data warehouse design, a data warehouse design concept. The idea of this design is for separation of concerns, right? So separation of concern means a particular layer handles a single process. If you ever come across this separation of concern, very common concern. A particular layer handles a single process, right? Instead of handling multiple process. You can just read up about it's very common in software engineering, right? So this layer here, this first layer, staging layer, handles your data cleaning and data transformation. Every data from you, because you can't trust the data from your raw layer. It can be messy, it can be terrible. You can have poor naming poor named columns inside your raw layer, right? This is the first layer that handles all those abnormalities, so that the other layers ahead can start using a clean data set to use. So your staging layer is for data cleaning, proper naming, proper typecasting, the data types and the likes. Now your intermediate layer is where your complex transformations starts to happen, right? So you've gotten all your data sets from multiple sources inside here. But now you want to start putting those multiple sources inside a single table, right? So say for example, this is my raw layer now. I have multiple tables inside this raw layer. Say I have multiple orders table, right? Order one, order two, order three, order four, multiple of them, right? And then you do your cleaning inside your staging layer. But inside the intermediate layer is where you start to combine those tables to one single table, right? You start to do complex joins inside there and combine it inside just a single table. And it's also for other helpful transformations and complex joins that you perform inside this intermediate layer. I think I'm kind of rushing than I did when I took Mrs. Bisola, probably because of time. So, okay. So finally, we have our math layer. The math layer is your final layer, right? Is the layer that the end users actually interact with, right? This is your presentation layer. This is the one that you give the end users everything that you've done here, right? You now give it to them inside here. You give them their business metrics, their KPIs, the tables that they need, right? You give it to them inside this guy here, and they now take it inside. They take it inside their BI tool, their Excel, their Power BI, and then they do their analysis and visualization inside it. So remember, this guy. So another important thing is that inside here, you're not just transforming data, but you're actually business, modeling business logic. So if you remember, I said it's very important for you to understand the process of your business. So just even like a data analyst, right, they should understand the process of their business. If they're in marketing, they understand marketing to the T, right? If they're in logistics, they understand logistics with T. It's the same thing you're doing inside here, right? You understand the business logic, which is why you're able to convert this technical transformation into something that they can use at the end. And this business logic understanding is why so this business logic understanding is one of our biggest differentiators between an analytics engineer and a data engineer. So a data engineer may not necessarily understand business logic. Theirs is engineering, or their business is engineering, right? But you, as an analyst and as an engineer, you understand business logic and you're able to engineer that business logic for these guys to make use of, right? So for the end users to make use of it, you're basically communicating with data analysts and the likes. So these are our biggest value inside there. If you can't translate business logic to if you can't translate technical requirements to business logic, then I don't know where to categorize you. Okay, so that is the sum total of an entire project, right? That we'll be doing. So the project that we'll be using is this Olist data set. This is an e-commerce data set that's a very common one I got from Cargo. And we'll just be using this to run through everything that we just did here, that we said here. Right, so we'll be using this particular data set to run through everything. So before time goes, any question? Any question? Any? Okay, so before time goes, let's just launch our project. Then by tomorrow we'll start hands-on work with this. So the entire project here, right? So everything is properly documented for us to follow inside here. So what do you want to do? Create your project. Now, if you have other projects, once you're creating projects, you see you have quota left. You have some quota left. I have 16 projects left, right? If you have limited projects and you've created some that you don't need, you can just go back and delete those projects. Just have them documented, right, before deleting them. Have what you learned and everything documented before going ahead to delete. So we want to go ahead to create create set of environments for our next project. So you can start by creating your Google BigQuery project or your Google Cloud project, right? And then you can call it Olist project. Olist project. Okay, so this is what I want to go ahead and do. So now we're actually following on. We're actually following along. Just create your okay, go to BigQuery and create your projects at first. No, none. Mr. Ezekiel, how about you? Anything, you just use all this, yeah, since that is what you help you identify. Mm, that is what you help you identify. So remember, we've created our project. I've not yet said anything. So what you just did is you created your, all this project is now available. Okay, I'm coming. Check here. Hmm. Don't worry, even if you don't see it, because it can pop up anytime. Mr. Mo, you're welcome. Okay. Mr. Mo, you're welcome. Good evening, though. Okay, but we are just left with 5 minutes. Okay. So we have our project. So let me see. First things first was set up BigQuery project. So after the BigQuery project, we just created our project, right? So remember we create our project and the next thing we want to do is we want to set up our service account. That is always very important. So your service account helps you connect is what helps you connect with other systems like DBT. So set up service accounts. And if you remember how we set up our service accounts, we just go inside here. We go to this menu button and we'll go to IAM and admin, right? And from there, service accounts. So sorry. Like I thought you guys would be familiar with it, so don't mind me. Don't mind me. IAM and admin, service accounts. Yeah, we're creating a new one. This is a new project, so we're creating a new service accounts like we did last. Yes. We can't use okay. So in your service accounts, create a service account. Call this DBT, DBT Olist project. So I've done that. So create and continue. For your row, we can select owner, but let's reduce. We're going to reduce that privilege. So select BigQuery instead of owner. Search for BigQuery. Search for BigQuery instead of just using owner. We just want to reduce the permissions instead of giving it an entire owner. So we are going to give it BigQuery user. So give it BigQuery user. then continue. And then you can click on done. Yes, you don't even need it now. So click on done. Okay. Okay. So we want to create, remember, we want to create keys for our service account. So you click on your service account. This is your service account here. You click on it to go and create a key or adjacent key. So see keys over here. Click on it to go and then add key. Create new key. And yes, as usual, get you now have that saved in your system, your computer. So I said, as usual, have that saved in your system. So we are done setting up our big project. Yes. Okay. So now the next thing we want to do is we set up our service account. Next thing we want to do now is we want to set up our DBT project. Set up DBT project. This is the basic process just to set up your account, so set up the entire project. Right. Now start DBT and set. So now you now open up your VS Code. Since you want to use this from VS Code. Since we are going to be using VS Code for the entire project, then open open a folder. The folder I want to use is any folder, the particular folder that I use in creating projects, right? So just open that folder inside. Open the folder that you want to use for this particular project. So for example, I'm going to create inside my GitHub and I'll create a new folder. So I'll create a new folder for this project and I'll call it Olist project. Olist project. Small letter, no space, and underscore for space. So I'll create that and I'll use this one. So if you're here already, let me know. Yeah, so just make sure it's the particular folder that you're using. So make sure it's a particular folder and then you select your folder. So VS Code will open that particular, you see it here, Olist project. Yes, I actually even created a new folder. So I just created it. So create it where anywhere you want to. We are building up a new project. Anywhere you want to build that project here. So it's create a folder for the project and select that folder. Okay, so if you're done, let me know. Are you done? What's the problem? Okay. If you're done, let me know. What is the, what is the issue? You can create it locally in your, just go to your file explorer and create it there. Olist project. And honestly, anything you want to use. DBT Olist, Olist project, Ezekiel Olist, anyone. Mm, yeah. Open it in there. Just go to your VS Code and open folder. So you find the folder and open it inside. So you can download that one, but we are not going to start. I'm not going to go that far. We just and we just create the projects and say, okay. So the next thing we want to do is usually we would we would go here and do that DBT in it. But I'm going to skip that and create everything manually with you guys. So I'm not going to be doing DBT in it. Are you guys following? I said usually I would do DBT in it inside here. Then we'll start configuring our DBT, but I won't be doing that. We'll be doing it manually, creating our projects manually inside how that DBT initialize. Can you So did you get me? Okay. Is Mrs. Bisola there? Mrs. B. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to set up our connection, our um our BigQuery connection, right? You want to set it up. So go into your file explorer. Open up your file explorer. We are doing it manually, like we did last time, which we just did automatically. So the manual part is also part of the learning process. So just open up your file explorer. So open up your file explorer and go to your local disk. So if you're there, let me know. Okay. So Zika, how about you? Huh? Okay. So in your local disk, just go to your users folder, and then in your users folder, find the profile of your computer. Just PC. Mine is still user. So click on the profile of your mine is user. Just click on the profile of your system, whatever profile that you created your system as. It may be your name. Sometimes it's your name you created, but it may still be user. So click on okay. So click on user. Ms. Bisola, are you there? Okay, so click on user and you want to find this file .dbt. So open up the file and then you're looking for this file here. You're going to find this folder .dbt. Have you seen it? Huh? It's supposed to be up, like up there at the top. Miss Biswa, you've seen yours. Okay. So click on it and then you're looking for this particular file, profiles. Yes. So just you don't have it. No, no, you do. And this is that is it now, profiles. Uh, and it's the same thing now. It's just mine is just extension. I can go and remove this .yml. If I set it, it will not. Come. I was trying to show you that what your own is just settings. There's nothing different about. You're just seeing the okay. So this is what you're seeing. This is what you're seeing now. Yeah, it's the same thing. So just open up the profiles. Open it up, and it will open up inside VS Code. Just open it. Open it. That's not a problem. So you can see yours, right, Mr. Ezekiel? You can see yours. Okay. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to copy all those your Jaffa shop, right? Copy it, duplicate it. So copy it and then just paste it. Just exact. Yeah. This is my own project. You don't have it because it's not your project. Uh, every other thing here. So every other thing you can see here is my project. You only have one project, which is this, which is the last one that we did. Mhm. To Olist. So change your profile to Olist project. So this Olist project is a profile. That's why it's called profiles. Olist project is a profile. You have target, output, dev, type, BigQuery, threads, probably 16 or 8 or something else on your phone. So, so remove that one. Go to your BigQuery, copy what you have there. Copy what you have there and go and paste it. Yep. There's only so much I know about how they do their things. 15 minutes now. When did we join? Okay, it's already 9:20. Oh, let's, let's end this quick. Okay, so are you guys there? Okay, no problem. We have 15 minutes left. I see it here. Um, this one here. So have we gotten it? It's basically like if you've gotten it, if you got, have you gotten yours? Yeah. So the key file, you have what? Showing to where? In this place. Okay, and just remove one. Maybe it's AI. Don't worry, is you're using is Copilot. Okay, so just go to um, there we go there. So Miss Bisla, what is Copilot or giving you all those ones? Did you hear? And yeah, the one you just downloaded. Mm. Okay. Is see the code here. See your Kinikon here. Is ask I'm guessing this is what it's asking for. See it here. Any any funny name that you see there, it's numbers, is your project ID, your database. If your big query is still wasting time, just go to the file itself. See it here. See mine now. So if you see mine, this is literally, I don't know what funny name they gave you, but I believe you downloaded it. Okay. So copy what you have there and paste it inside the paste it inside database. The next thing you want to do is here to adjust this key file to what you just use, to the one you just download. Me, I download everything inside the same location, so I just changed the name. Yeah, copy the path and paste it like you did for the last one. Yes. The reason why you're doing it this way, you're not avoiding any error. I'm just suffering you guys. But I'm just trying to let you know the did I say nuts and bolts of that DBT init that you guys were doing, right? So that DBT init hides a number of things under the hood. These all those profiles that you were saying, this is the profile that we're talking about. Right? This is profile and this is operation. So if you see now, you're using your hand to actually configure DBT with your project. That is what is going on here. So if you're done with this, you can close that profile or just leave it open in case you still want to adjust anything. So if you're done with that, we have a few minutes left. If you're done with this, inside you see inside this your Olist project. The first folder that you want to create there, you call it dbt underscore project dot yml. So we have 6 names. Yes. Where? This DBT underscore project does YML. That one is mandatory. That particular one is mandatory. So once you're done with creating this file, I'll paste in something now. No, not folder or file. Did I say folder? Sorry. Ah, oh my. Yeah, right click and then click on new file. DBT underscore just file. First, what is it? This symbol? That one is settings. It's just extra settings. So I'll share this for you right now. It's just a code I copied and pasted. I would have gone through it, but no time. So I'll just copy it and paste for you guys. I'm the one that wrote it out. Oh. I copied this from where I wrote it and pasted it here. So just so co- yeah, copy it from the chat and just paste it inside and save it. Inside DBT project, your DBT project is YML. Paste it inside here. Yeah, paste it and save it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Control S. Do you see this thing here? This white dot. Is it on your own? Then it's saved. Okay. So the last thing we want to do is we want to create a couple of folders, but I don't know if time will allow for that. 2 minutes left. So what you just run inside your terminal, open up your terminal. It's down here. Try to just down. Just drag it up from there. So open it up and then you run this code. DBT debug. So if you see any error, we'll do that next week. I'm sorry, tomorrow. But if everything runs, you have an error. Ignore the error. Is one. It's probably your GitHub or something. Mm. No, No, VS Code will open that for you because you opened it in a folder. That is the first. Okay, Ms. Busala, Ms. Busala. Mhm. Okay. So what error were you seeing in yours? That is all. I don't mind it. There's not a serious error if it's that. This one. So did you see all checks passed? Okay, I'm not sharing my screen. If you wrote DBT debug, see your spelling of debug. Eh? Ms. Busala, do you see this connection test? Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. So I feel like this error waiting, unless I see what you guys are talking about, is hard to do. Yes. Um, on or no character escape as line and your profiles. Go back to your profiles. You did something there. To open up your profiles. Yeah, profiles.yml. Profiles.yml. That is your profile. See it up there. Remove this trailing, what do they call it? Double, double quotation. Not the slash, the double quote. Mm, to save it. Back and run it. Wait, go back to your profiles. Go back to your profiles. I said your namings should always have small letter. Yeah. Proceed. You- Okay, so Miss Biswa, how about you? Yeah, I can see it. There's nothing there now. Remove the B. Yeah, go to your profiles. To your profiles. Save your profiles. And then go and save your PVC project also. And then run it. All right. No, you're not. Ezekiel, just go and download Git. Go to your browser, download Git. That is all. Mm. Just go and download. Yeah, download and install it. Nothing serious there. All right. So that is it for tonight. 9:45 p.m. So from okay. Good night. No problem. Good night.